the Lakers, LeBron, Paul George, Anthony Davis, and Chris Paul. What? Okay, Anthony, assuming Davis re-signs the Lakers this offseason, LeBron James should stay on the recruiting trail for a third star. Should be a hotbed for tampering? Yeah, probably. Chris Paul would take a mid-level exception off of the contract he currently has being done. I don't know if Chris Paul would want to do that. Perhaps. I mean, the Lakers might have max cap space for George in 2022. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so one thing. Shout out to Luol Deng, who is still going to be under contract that season. Well, let's think about this. I mean, LeBron at $41 million. Anthony Davis, his extension when he declines this player option, what would it be? It'd be in the 30s, right? I mean, AD's been in the league for what? At least 7, 8, 9 years, whatever. So, what, 75 or so? We'll just say 80 to make it easy, I don't know. So 80 million, and then Paul George on another like 35. That would put you around 115. Then you're talking about any potential draft picks, like, maybe you're extending Talen Horton-Tucker. You might be extending Kuzma just because you don't really have much else. Chris Paul for a mid-level. It's theoretically possible. While this would be an older core, James isn't showing any signs of slowing down, and Davis would still be in his 20s. I mean, when you think about the ways the Lakers can actually improve, like they've got so many of their own picks locked up from the AD trade, which is fine. They got Anthony Davis. The other thing to talk about here, though, is Paul George leaving the Clippers. Do we have signs that he's going to do that at this time? I mean, it's barely played. I guess we would just have to see what the tone is next season. I mean, I think Paul George has proven that he is perhaps a little wishy-washy. I mean, gets traded to OKC, agrees to sign, and then he wants out anyway to go to the Clippers. It's impossible to know whether he really wanted out of OKC initially, or if the Kawhi thing came up and then Paul George was just kind of like, whoa, okay, I guess I'll agree to this. So I guess that all kind of matters. The other thing to make note of with Paul George and Kawhi is like how much does the other guy's intentions matter on the other one? If that was confusing English or whatever. Like if PG gets the sense that Kawhi wants out, is PG then going to want out and vice versa? Or is either one of them going to be like, well, that guy may want to leave, but I kind of like what's going on here, so I'm just going to stay? I assume all that matters. I think another thing to think about is like Chris Paul and LeBron. Now at this point, CP would be decently old. And who knows if he would hold up defensively, but would Chris Paul still be really annoying to LeBron? I don't know. DeMar DeRozan joining the Portland Trail Blazers, which, I mean, right then and there, would DeRozan make the Blazers a lot better? Defensively, he wouldn't help. Offensively, could he play off of Dame and CJ? I mean, I guess if you gave the ball to DeRozan a little bit more, but then you're probably taking possessions away from Dame. I don't know if DeMar is that exciting of an option for Portland, but let's look at it a little bit. Why not? They're also implying that Millsap ends up in Portland, which would have to be through free agency. So, I mean, that's a lot of stuff happening with the Blazers. It shouldn't be hard for the Blazers to convince DeRozan to come to Portland. Four-time All-Star controls his future with a $28 million player option. He may prefer to join a win-now squad like Portland. Work out a trade with the Blazers, or I'm walking away for nothing in free agency. I mean, if I was San Antonio, I wouldn't be that beat up by DeRozan just leaving. I gotta be honest. But if they were really determined to get something, you could see how this could be a thing. Collins, Ariza, Rodney Hood, and Nasir Little. Well, the Spurs would have to be sending somebody. You can't have four guys going for one guy. I mean, would you really want to give up on Zach Collins' potential for DeMar DeRozan? I don't know, man. I don't think I'd want to do that. I think Collins can be a damn good player as like a versatile four and all that. And I mean, a healthy Rodney Hood, if you gave him some time to really gel with Portland, I could picture him averaging a solid 16 a game or so, which the fact that he can shoot threes makes him kind of not super worse than DeRozan, especially when we're talking about playing off of Dame and playing off of CJ, you know what I mean? Because I just don't know if that'd be a great fit, unless you're just giving the ball to DeRozan a lot. So, I don't know. But I do love the idea of Millsap ending up in Portland, so if he wanted to sign, and I potentially could see Millsap being available or just signing on for a lot less money, and we'll have to see. I mean, the salary situation, I think the Blazers are like right at $109 million for next year, which is about what the cap was going to be, but now it's probably going to be lower. Maybe it won't be lower. That's still up in the air. I don't know. If you force me to bet, I don't think this happens. I don't picture DeRozan being in Portland next year. Is it possible that going from Carmelo Anthony to DeMar DeRozan actually gets you worse on defense? I mean, DeRozan's never really figured it out defensively, and I feel like Melo at least played his best on that side of the floor this year, which at this point is not awesome, but we can move on. I don't think it's going to happen. Zion, Devin Booker, and Brandon Ingram on the Pelicans. And Bleacher Report loves to trade Devin Booker, you know? If I was a Suns fan, I wouldn't feel too good about this. And they're keeping Drew in this scenario. I mean, this would be a hell of a starting five. Why would this happen? Alright, they're all in the yacht club. Okay. Suns and Pelicans both battling for the final playoff spot. I mean, the Suns aren't really battling. They don't have a chance. Ooh, I do like this. If Phoenix misses the playoffs, there'll be a decade straight of lottery trips. The rest of the Pelicans should kindly remind Booker about that. I do like that, you know, some warfare, you know, get in his mind a little bit. While Booker is under contract until 2024, he wouldn't be the first star in recent years to force a trade. Sure, I mean, if I was Phoenix and Booker wanted out, I just wouldn't trade him. I'd be like, tough crap, dude. You're under contract for a long time. You can't do the whole, well, I'm going to leave if you guys don't do it. Like, you have too much time left in your contract to start doing that. You know what I mean? But I guess if Booker was determined enough and you burnt down enough bridges, maybe you could. But I really don't picture Devin Booker doing that. He just seems like a guy who's wired to really want to figure it out in Phoenix. What would even be the move? New Orleans would make a great partner, a package of Lonzo, Jackson Hayes, Redick, and multiple first-round picks. Works financially, and the Pelicans can include their own draft selections. That would have to be a lot of picks. I mean, the Lakers picks... Well, the 2024 pick for the Lakers, that's an interesting one if things go really south for them, which they probably won't, but maybe they could. That's just not a lot, you know what I mean? I mean, Lonzo, I like Lonzo, but I don't like Hayes. Redick, given his age and where Phoenix would be at with a move like this, is essentially not an asset at all. And that Pelicans team becomes really good with Booker and all them, so those picks aren't much. Yeah, should I make a stand to just stop reading Devin Booker trade ideas? Because I just think they're all trying a little too hard, a little too K-ish, all that type of stuff. I'm sticking up for you, Suns fans, while also disrespecting DeAndre Ayton. Luka, Oladipo, and Porzingis in 2021. Now this one, I could see a little bit more. You know, the Oladipo-Indiana relationship, it seems pretty good. It seems better than pretty good. It seems damn good. But maybe he would just simply want too much money. Contract stuff can always get interesting. Would the Mavs just be all in on like, hell yeah, Oladipo, we'll give you money? Would that be technically tampering if he knew that before you had actually traded for him? I don't know, but everybody tampers. I do like what they're doing here, though, like picking teams that are sharing the same areas, like Dallas and Indiana are sharing Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. So looking at Dallas's salary situation, I mean, yeah, they do have a bit of money, and we'll have to see what that salary cap looks like as a result of what's going on now. This will be their last chance to get someone else, because once they give Luka that max, that 63 is going to become, into the 90s, and, the whole team looks different by that point pretty much, so. Yeah, we'll see how aggressive Dallas wants to be, but I feel like the implication here is that Oladipo and Indiana would just kind of have a falling out, and it just does, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to get to that point. They seem like they're on pretty good terms right now. It seems like Oladipo is aware of the fact that he's not just a slam dunk max contract guy right now. And even then, I think if Oladipo, or if the Pacers really sensed that it was going in that direction, I kind of feel like they would look to trade him. And if that was the case, I don't know if Dallas could really do much, because they've got picks already unavailable because of Stepien rule and all that stuff. They don't have a lot of assets in terms of players you'd really want if you were Indiana, because I figured the Pacers would want someone who can help them out right now. So, yeah. I know Bleacher Report, they really want Dallas to get somebody, and I kind of do feel like Dallas could snake their way into getting someone. I just don't know if it's going to be Oladipo, you know what I mean? Miami, Giannis, Jimmy, and Bam in 2021. Yeah, it's the worst kept secret in the league that Miami is holding out cap space for Giannis' free agency. Jimmy Butler has a history of getting what he wants. Trade from Minnesota, finding a way to Miami with no cap space. Do we know if Jimmy Butler and Giannis are cool? Is there any traces of that? I don't know. Similar to Booker, I just feel like Giannis is locked into Milwaukee. And I know we've seen it a couple times now. We've seen KD go to the Warriors after losing the conference finals. We saw LeBron after losing in round 2, I believe it was. But I just can't help but think that Giannis just isn't going to leave the Bucks. Maybe I just don't want him to, because here's the thing. If Giannis leaves Milwaukee, that will 100% clarify that the Supermax does not work and it needs to be redone for something else. I mean, you could suggest that already is the case, but that will be the nail in the coffin on the Supermax, because then basically all it would have done was lock teams into stars, but not super duper stars like John Wall, whoever else. And then it doesn't stop the elite of the elite from leaving their team anyway. Paul George isn't super duper elite, but whatever. Anthony Davis, Giannis, that type of thing. So now, even within that, there's a conversation about, well, if you run your team correctly, but that's the thing, the Bucks have done everything right. So if Giannis still leaves, then yeah. The Heat are the only team in the bubble poised to have max cap space 2021 and 2 All-Stars, which Butler should be sure to bring up should he and Giannis bump into each other. Does that count as tampering? I don't think it matters. Plus, how would you even know? Like, if Giannis and Jimmy just have some conversation in a frickin' hallway, like, you wouldn't know about it. And even then, even if you prove that it was tampering, what could you really do? Like, you can't forbid Giannis from going to a team. I shouldn't even dive into that. He's not going to leave the Bucks. That's just what I think. And yeah.